Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we have another absolutely incredible model to take a look at, or I guess you should say articulated figure, because this time we have some more of Rod's random work here on the channel to check out, and it's been quite some time since we had some of his work to check out, especially when it comes to a review. I have put up a few videos of some repaints and stuff as far as Rod's work goes, but I think we've only had the opportunity to review two different figures of his in the past so far on the channel, and I'm very excited to now have a third here to review on the channel. This is his young Tyrannosaurus Rex. Not long ago, Rod was actually watching one of my videos when I had reviewed the Amber Collection Young Tyrannosaurus and Compies, and he noticed how let down I was by that set, so he had contacted me. Being a good friend of mine, he went ahead and sent over his Compies, as well as his, obviously, the one we're looking at here, the young Tyrannosaurus, to kind of take the place of those more ugly figures from Mattel in my collection. So a huge thank you to him for being a really good friend, sending over this super awesome gift and allowing us the opportunity to take a look at this here on the channel. And I will actually have a review up of the Compies as well very, very soon. Obviously, it is a very nice, very Lost World Jurassic Park style figure, replicating the juvenile Tyrannosaurus from that film, and I think he has done a fantastic job as far as accuracy goes when it comes to really capturing the likeness of that Rex, and also at the same time of capturing that likeness, he kind of has like a Kenner feel to the figure. I think it just has a very strong Kenner feel because it just, of course, Kenner was the company that produced the toys for that line, and since this obviously has a similar look to the young Tyrannosaurus produced by Kenner, it has that very nice screen accurate look, but also kind of a throwback Kenner style and feel. So that gives this figure extra points if you ask me, but honestly, he has done a tremendous job on the sculpt, very nicely detailed. The paintwork here was done by me. If you do order this, of course, it comes unassembled and unpainted, although it's very easy to assemble. However, I will suggest that warming the joints up before putting the body together, if you do happen to order this, that's definitely a great idea. I don't recommend just trying to force the pieces together or anything because you'll probably break it. So if you do order it, I definitely recommend, again, warming the pieces up to slide it together. And then once you actually put the arms and legs in and then you assemble the head and neck onto the body and the tail, it looks phenomenal. An absolute gorgeous version of the young Tyrannosaurus Rex. And then, of course, the fun starts there because you get to then paint your Tyrannosaurus, and then you can paint it up to look however you would like. And, of course, I tried my best to give this that kind of young Tyrannosaurus from the Lost World style paint scheme. I don't know how good I achieved it. This is the first time I've ever attempted to paint that Tyrannosaurus, so hopefully it turned out okay, but I'm very excited to take a closer look at this with you guys, so let's do that right now. So starting up here at the head sculpt of our Tyrannosaurus, there is absolutely no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He captured the accuracy of the Rex from the Lost World perfectly in that head sculpt. And to paint this, I kind of was going off of some images of the animatronic and, just a few different images that I could find on Google and everything as far as like the color scheme and everything goes. But in that process of finding those images, I had an opportunity to really, take a look at the Rex from the Lost World, and again, he really did his homework when creating this sculpt. Like, it looks perfect if you ask me, and you can see the detailing aspect is phenomenal. As usual when it comes to a Rod's Random Work piece, you've got the nostrils sculpted out very nicely up there. You can also see some beautiful texturing there in the palate area, and then moving back into the eye socket, there's a lot of wrinkles increasing there around the eye. You can also see we have those kind of trademark scoot-like scales that run up here over the palate and then up over the eyebrow area. Very nicely sculpted out. The eye itself is as well sculpted out quite beautifully. And again, you can see as far as the skin texture goes, it really does look great everywhere you look, even on the lower jaw. And you can see the teeth inside the mouth. Now, I have noticed that when Rod put his together, he had the jaw in a different position than what I did with mine. Again, I felt like this looked the best in my personal preference. Again, not everyone will share the same opinion as me, but one thing that is a little bit of a downside about where I have the jaw is that you can't see inside the mouth or anything all that well. You can see it's very dark in there, but I will say the tongue is sculpted out inside the mouth, and the detailing in general, There you can definitely get a good shot of it in there, or at least somewhat of a good shot. The detailing on the inside of the mouth is really quite phenomenal, as well are the teeth, and you can see each one of the teeth are sculpted individually on both the upper and lower jaw, giving them a much more lifelike appearance than if the teeth were just kind of sculpted all together. So Rod really has gone the extra mile as far as the detailing aspect in every area of this Rex. Even up here on the top of the head, again, the texturing, the scale detail looks great. As you start to lead down the course of the neck, again, you have some more beautiful texturing to the skin, but also quite a bit of tensing that is shown here in the neck region of the Tyrannosaurus. And you can also see the throat is nicely elaborated. And again, detail-wise, it really is so good, it practically paints itself, which is something that is always good about a Rod's Random Work model. You can see, again, as we move down a little further, the spinal column is very nicely elaborated there, running along the back of the Tyrannosaurus. And you can also see that the arms sport some very nice muscle definition. We also have some nice skin wrinkles and skin folds here leading down from the shoulder blade into the arms. You can see the elbow is really nicely defined in the sculpt right there, and the fingers also look great. Very nicely sculpted and very nicely, again, replicating the Lost World style Tyrannosaurus. I feel like the arm length as well looks perfect when it comes to how the Rex appears in that film. You can also see, moving back here into the stomach region, again, on top of that fantastic skin texture, we have the rib cage showing, and the rib cage is very nicely shown on the sculpt of the figure. But if you actually go to the underside, you can kind of see how like the stomach is sucked in, and due to the stomach being sucked in, again, maybe it's just a moment with the way that the Tyrannosaur is breathing, you can actually see like the rib cage here shown off on the underside as well. That's an area of detail you don't often see on dinosaur models, so I really like that Rod has included that here on his Tyrannosaurus. As we move back a little further into the body, again, you can pick up on the hip bone, nicely elaborated up here, as well as some nice muscle definition. And then one thing that's really good to see about his muscle definition is, again, it's not overly defined. Like, it's really sculpted almost perfectly, because you can definitely pick out the muscle tone, but it's not anything that's going to cause it to look like, you know, starving or just ridiculously shrink-wrapped or anything like that. Like, I think it just looks really good as far as the muscle definition. And again, you can see the calf muscle as well. As you move down into the foot, of course, we have a very nice bird-like foot, but obviously also a very nice Jurassic Park-style Tyrannosaurus foot. You can kind of see some scoots running down the course of the toes, and the toenails themselves are also very nicely sculpted. You can see that we do have dew claws present as well. And then as we move back up here into the tail, you can see some more skin wrinkles here right behind the thigh. As we lead out into the length of the tail, you can see a very nice curve in the tail. It kind of dips down, but then comes back up and then dips back down again at the tip. And the skin texture, the scale detail looks great the entire way out. You can as well see how nice the skin texture and scale detail looks on the underside of the Tyrannosaurus, which is definitely a huge plus. Of course, being an articulated figure, it comes pretty much in a neutral position, so you're not going to really see too much difference over here detail-wise, any more so than what we had just seen on the initial side, but you can, again, pick up on the fact that the sculpt is phenomenal, no matter which side you view it from, no matter which angle you view it from. The sculpt is as highly detailed, I think, as you're going to find, and Rod is just one of, in my opinion, the most creative sculptors out right now, and I absolutely love the initiative that so many people have taken to just start creating their own products, because not everybody is getting what they want out of the actual official Jurassic lines out there like Mattel and everything. So luckily for anybody that isn't, and luckily for collectors like myself, we have amazing people like Rod working here in the dinosaur collecting community to give us the type of models that, you know, collectors, in my opinion, dream of. And this Tyrannosaurus is definitely at the top of the list as far as that goes. And again, you can see how beautiful it looks on this side sculpt-wise. Like, he has really nailed, honestly, every aspect of that Rex that I can think of and just captured it perfectly here, replicating that Lost World Jurassic Park young Tyrannosaurus. And again, having it now painted up, it is definitely one of my most cherished possessions in my collection, because it is a perfect replica of the Lost World young Rex, something that I don't feel like I really had before. Of course, I've got the Kenner toys and stuff, but this, in my opinion, is much better than they are. A gorgeous version of the young Rex from the Lost World. And another fun aspect to the model, as you can see now, we have the positioning in a totally different style, a different position as what we had it in when we started the review. So, of course, we have articulation in this Tyrannosaurus. And the areas that are articulated would be the arms. You can see it can move forward and back, same deal with both arms. And you also have articulation in the legs, which can actually go, you know, pretty far. Like, you can get a pretty decent length here, a running stance for your Tyrannosaurus. If you really wanted to like glue it in place, you could create some pretty darn cool dioramas if you were going to go that route, or you could of course keep it like this and have the articulated style to your Tyrannosaurus, which I feel like is definitely a fun aspect to the model as well. I personally actually quite like it like this. Like, I like the kind of downward stance of the Rex. I feel like a small model right here with the Tyrannosaur maybe about to lunge on it is like the perfect addition to a diorama with this, or maybe even like a piece of meat, because actually when we discover this Rex in the Lost World, it's in the Rex nest and it's feeding, so maybe like a piece of meat right there would be a really cool little addition to a diorama with the Rex. But since we have it in this position, we're going to go ahead and get a size for the Rex. And one thing that's also great about it, you can see it stands really nicely. The balance is pretty much off the charts. So for a length, you were looking at about 9.5 inches, or right around 24 centimeters. And then if it's actually bent down like this to the top of the tail, you're looking at about 5.5 inches, or 14 centimeters. And then if we would position it back up again in a more natural positioning, we can go ahead and get ourselves a height on the Rex, and you were looking at, again in this position right here, about 4 3/4 inches, or 12 centimeters. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, and Robert Muldoon from the Mattel Jurassic World toy line in comparison to our Rod's Random Work young Tyrannosaurus Rex, and you can definitely see size-wise that it sports pretty much the size you would expect it to. Now, I do believe he has made larger versions of this, so if you would prefer a larger version, I believe you can go that route, but as far as this one goes, honestly, it's really quite sizable, and for a young Tyrannosaurus from the Lost World, I feel like it is a perfect size for this figure. For a second size comparison, here is the Mattel young Tyrannosaurus in comparison to the Rod's Random Work version, and boy, what a world of difference between those two. That Mattel version actually looks pretty awful now in comparison to Rod's. I actually like that figure, but it doesn't compete in any way, shape, or form with how beautiful the Rod's Random Work version is. We also actually have, even though they're not in the exact same film, but just because it was in front of this Rex when I pulled it out, there is a Kenner Ellie Sattler figure for you to check out in comparison, just because it was there. And then here we have the Kenner version in comparison to the Rod's Random Work version. Again, giving you a pretty rough idea of what the size is. Obviously, Rod's is a bit bigger than the Kenner version, but the Kenner version is still a very nice version of this Rex. But again, in my opinion, Rod's wins this round as far as that figure goes also. And then we've also got the Amber Collection young Tyrannosaurus, which actually isn't much bigger than the mainline Mattel version, but yet again, you can see that there is no comparison between the two, and I think, or at least I hope, I've finished off a better paint scheme on this one than what we got with the Amber Collection version, especially because I felt like the tones were way too off on the Amber version, whereas I hopefully have corrected those tones on my version. But again, hopefully these comparisons have helped to give you a rough idea of what this Tyrannosaurus is size-wise. So this absolutely beautiful Rod's Random Work version of the Lost World Jurassic Park young Tyrannosaurus Rex is awesome. Again, it's one of very few Rod's Random Work pieces that I actually have in my collection. Most of what I have reviewed and shown off, actually, I think everything I've reviewed and shown off so far have been pieces that I was just painting for someone else and then sending them off. I do have some really nice baby dinosaurs that I have here in my collection that I just unfortunately been slammed with, stuff that I was obligated to paint for people and everything, commission work, so I haven't had much time to get those painted up. But once I received this Rex, I really wanted to get this one up. So I do have some of those babies that will be coming up for review at some point. I also actually recently finished up some combis of his that I will be reviewing and also adding to my collection. So finally, I do have some of Rod's work that I get to keep for myself. Again, kind of historic because this is the very first Rod's Random Work model that I reviewed that I get to actually keep. So super awesome news as far as that goes. But this, again, Tyrannosaurus is a great representation of that version of the Tyrannosaurus from the film. I really feel like he captured the likeness perfectly. Every ounce of detail that I know and can remember from that Tyrannosaurus is present on this one. He's done a great job of capturing all of the fine details, like really nice skin detail, very nice skin wrinkles, the rib cage, all of the muscle definition and bone structure. It's all perfectly present on this figure, and I love the realism of this one over many of the figures that we had just seen, because of course this is made for adult collectors, not kids. So we have teeth that look like they're actually sharp and nails that look like they're actually sharp. So again, a lot higher of a quality product than everything that we had just compared it with. On top of the very screen accurate sculpt, you have the option again to paint it how you would like, which is a lot of fun. You get to build it, which is also quite fun, but you also have some really cool articulation with your figure. Or again, you can choose to give it the non-articulated look, and you can just kind of, seal in the joints, and you don't have to worry about articulation. You can make it more of a model, or you can keep it like mine where it's kind of half model, half action. Basically, whatever you choose to do is really up to you. So it's an absolutely gorgeous piece, a very high recommendation from me, and something that I add to my collection with pride, and I'm absolutely overjoyed to finally have something of Rod's fully finished now by me to add to my collection. This Tyrannosaurus is a great representation of that Rex from the film, and also, in my opinion, a really nice work of art. So, if you are interested in this, you can contact Rod's Random Work on Instagram, or of course keep checking his Etsy shop, so when he does, post some more up there for sale, you can grab a hold of it and get it right away. But again, if you are interested, I will include links in the description to both his Instagram account as well as his Etsy shop, where you can inquire further about purchasing one of these Tyrannosaurs when he officially has more up for sale. And make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.